Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
And we're following breaking news of a man brutally attacked by a dog while in his backyard on Detroit's east side. And that does top our news at noon. That man is now in the hospital this afternoon with severe injuries to his arm after a dog attack at a home on Edmore Street over on Detroit's east side. Local 4's Jason Colthorpe is there for us, joining us live now. And Jason, any idea what led up to this?
Yeah, we really do have a good idea, Evron. Let me take you inside this backyard right now. I want to give you an idea of what you're looking at here. This is where this attack happened around 9 o'clock this morning. Animal control got on the scene about 10 and left with the dog about 11:15. Let me show you a little bit of video we shot a few minutes ago. You can see the dog laying limp. The dog was not shot. We believe it was tranquilized and removed by animal control. Now, family tells me the 44-year-old man was here cleaning up after the dog, just doing some work in the backyard, and got near the dog when suddenly it leapt at him and clamped onto his arm and attacked.
I heard screaming. He was banging on the door, and he was like, "Call 911." And I didn't know what to do. I was like, first I didn't see what's going on. I didn't get to see it to look to his arm, and so I really came out the room. I was halfway asleep, but I seen his arm. I was like, oh my God. I called the police. Then I looked out the window. The dog was trying to attack the other dog.
Yeah, so a lot of things happening here, and I've seen a picture of the injuries of this man. It's way more graphic than we could show you, but I just want to give you an idea. It's his forearm, and he has two huge gashes right here on his forearm. He was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. The family just told me a few minutes ago they're about to go up and visit him. They don't know his condition. They're hoping he's in good spirits, but you can see a very traumatic event that went down here today. We'll have more details coming up at 5 o'clock. Evrod?
Alrighty. Jason Colthorpe reporting live for us this afternoon. We certainly wish that man a speedy recovery. Southfield police now need your help in finding a 56-year-old man with dementia. His name is Michael Thomas, and he was last seen on July 5th when he walked away from his brother's home on Jeanette Street in Southfield. While he has gone missing in the past, it's never been for this long, and his family is very worried about him. So if you've seen him or know anything about his disappearance, please call Southfield Police. A 72-year-old man is dead after a large tree fell on his home in Grand Haven. Police say that the tree fell on the man's home after severe storms hit the west side of the state last night. Winds as strong as 90 miles an hour damaged several homes and knocked down dozens of trees. So far, no injuries have been reported aside from that man's death, and police are still investigating. Well, strong winds on that side of our state. Here we're dealing with some storms of our own, Brandon.
Yeah, a chance this afternoon of some stronger storms. The ones we had this morning, just gushing rain. And this is a look back at about 2 o'clock this morning and some of the storms that were firing up across western lower Michigan. Very, very strong. And the threat this afternoon comes from a combination of the heat and humidity and an approaching cold front. We have 80 degrees out there. Humidity's up there at 62%. Winds out of the southwest just pumping in warm, moist air. So it feels like 82, and through the afternoon getting up to about 85 degrees. Those stronger storms mainly between 3 and 6 p.m., but they could linger a little bit longer through the evening hours, maybe until 8 or 9 with spotty lighter showers. But again, we need to keep a very close eye on that peak heat of the afternoon as skies are clearing out now. Storms already firing ahead of this cold front approaching again in western lower Michigan, but we'll certainly keep you updated and take a closer look into the improvements for the weekend coming up.
All right. Brandon, thank you. The G20 summit started this morning in Germany, and the long-anticipated face-to-face meeting between President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin happened after a night of protests and violence in the host city of Hamburg. Jay Gray joins us now with a closer look.
Hey there, good afternoon, Evrod. After months of speculation and ongoing investigations into possible ties between the two leaders, today President Donald Trump sat down for the first time face-to-face with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, while outside of the G20 summit, growing frustrations and a show of force continues to grow across this city. Ongoing protests framed the open of the G20 in Hamburg this morning, including this sit-in. Demonstrators trying to block access to the summit. Police using water cannons, then forcibly removing the group. Still, pockets of resistance continue to flare up across the city. Crowds spilling into roadways and at times turning destructive. Lighting fires, the flames swallowing cars and barricades. Protesters also slashed the tires of a vehicle belonging to the Canadian delegation. Others shattered windows at the Mongolian consulate. As the unrest continued to unfold, President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin met for the first time, shaking hands before the session's family photo. Then a few hours later,
President Putin and I have been discussing various things, and I think it's going very well. We've had some very, very good talks.
Sitting down for their highly anticipated face-to-face meeting.
A lot is riding on this, a lot of expectations. And these are two very big personalities that will be meeting with very big issues on the table.
Some back home demanding that those issues include Russian hacking of the 2016 presidential election.
Let's make no mistake, Putin knows what he did in our election. For Trump to not bring it up, that's a sign of weakness.
In an initial meeting where both leaders are surely trying to flex some political muscle. And protesters are trying to show their strength in numbers. Organizers say there are more than 100,000 on the ground across this city. In Hamburg, Germany, Jay Gray, Local 4.
Thank you, Jay. And back here at home now, Iraqi immigrants detained across the country and facing deportation have been granted another stay. A federal judge has extended an already existing stay another 14 days, meaning that it will now last until July 24th. The ACLU argued that the men would face imminent danger if sent back to Iraq. In a past ruling, the judge said that potential for harm outweighs any interest that the government has in quick deportation. Now, we can expect more federal court hearings in the coming days. Well, blood donors are at a record low, and the American Red Cross needs your help to change that. Red Cross officials say blood supply is at emergency levels. This summer, they've experienced lower numbers than almost ever before, and now they're begging for donors. Today, they're at St. John's for a blood drive, where workers say their call for help is about saving lives.
Well, as fast as we are collecting it, it is getting out into the community. And so if we get to the point that it's impacting us, we may have to delay surgeries and procedures in the hospitals. We don't want to do that.
The drive is still going on at St. John's Hospital on Miraz. While there were some people there, the Red Cross says that there were plenty of empty tables and they still need donors. So if you'd like to donate, you can do so until 5 p.m. An investigation into a shooting and carjacking is underway on Detroit's east side. It happened just after 3 this morning on Hurlbut Street near Mack Avenue, and that's where the 29-year-old victim told police he and a woman were approached by a group of men. The victim was shot in the shoulder. The woman was not hurt. The suspects took off in the victim's gray Chrysler. Well, today we're expected to learn if alcohol played a factor in the death of an 8-year-old boy. Detroit police were called to a home early Thursday morning on Conley Street after an 8-year-old boy got sick. The boy's grandma told police he drank an alcoholic drink that was made by a family friend. That boy was immediately rushed to the hospital, where he sadly fell into cardiac arrest and died. Now, while alcohol is suspected, an autopsy is needed to confirm the exact cause of death. A United States Marine from Metro Detroit is still missing after disappearing over a month ago. 39-year-old Douglas Calhoun, who's pictured here, has been missing since June 1st when he came home on Detroit's west side around 3:30 in the morning and called a friend to let him know that he was home. Now, that was the last time that anyone heard from him. The reward has been up to $6,000 for any information in this case. Anyone with info is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. A man is rescued after crashing a jet ski into the Detroit River seawall. We're told the man jumped off the jet ski just before it hit that wall, and a boater was able to pull the man out of the water. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and the U.S. and Canadian Coast Guards are now investigating. Still ahead here on Local 4 News at noon, behind schedule, what happened that led to a city truck being swallowed by this massive sinkhole. Plus, it's a difficult day ahead for Venus Williams. While the tennis great is on the court at Wimbledon, her attorneys are going to be battling it out in the courtroom. We've got details on the fatal crash that she was involved in coming up next. And bizarre behavior from a Georgia mother in court. New details about the murders of her entire family. And as we go to break, we continue to follow this breaking news from Detroit's east side, where a man was brutally attacked by a dog. Family members say the man was doing some yard work, cleaning up after the dog, when he was suddenly attacked and bit on the arm. That man's forearm was severely gashed in 2 places. Of course, we'll keep you updated throughout the day as we get new info. Welcome back, everyone. Near Atlanta, Georgia now, the woman charged with stabbing and killing her husband and 4 of their 5 children showed some pretty bizarre behavior during her first court appearance this morning, as you can see here on your screen. The family tragedy tops today's headlines. That was Isabel Martinez, and she's facing 5 counts of murder. And that's after police say that she made a chilling phone call to 911 Thursday morning. Officers came to her home and found her 4 children and their father stabbed to death. Also, a 5th child was stabbed, but thankfully survived. A large wildfire in Northern California now forcing families out of their homes and to somewhere safe. The fire is called the Winters Fire, and it's burning in Yolo County, north of Sacramento. It was first reported Thursday afternoon, and at last check, that fire has consumed 1,000 acres and was 15% contained. People in 2 nearby communities have been ordered to evacuate. About 500 firefighters are working to put that fire out right now, and the cause of it is unknown. Tennis star Venus Williams has a court hearing today about that crash where a 78-year-old passenger in the other vehicle later died. A judge in West Palm Beach, Florida, where that hearing will take place, has granted Williams an emergency protective order. Williams' attorney filed the order after learning the lawyer for the other driver was going to inspect her car and download data from the car's computer. That crash happened back on June 9th, and police found Williams technically at fault, but they did not charge her. In Cleveland now, a city vehicle fell into a giant sinkhole. Cleveland water officials say that they responded to the area on Thursday because of a possible water main leak. The worker investigating the area says that there was only a small crack in the road when he started repairs, and he says that he reached into the van to get some equipment out when the street started to collapse beneath him. Fortunately, that worker was not hurt, but they were able to tow that vehicle out. All right, coming up, it was a slow week at the box office, especially during this time of year when theaters are usually filled with new releases. So we're going to show you the lackluster blockbusters that are hitting the screens this weekend. Brandon?
Showers and storms west and south of us, and there's a cold front coming through as we look at a severe weather threat this afternoon with that cold front. But the news isn't all bad as we head into a lukewarm weekend next.
His food allergy is life-threatening. George's EpiPen is his lifesaver.
I was covered with hives and my lips began to swell and my throat began to close.
But with his active lifestyle and the high cost of EpiPens, he would love an alternative, and researchers think they might have one. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Tonight at 11, the easier way to treat life-threatening allergies without needles.
Everest.
Local 4 Storm Pins want everybody to get this app. It's severe weather social media kind of an app that we have for free under WDIV. And this is Button Guy in Wyandotte showing some of the heavy pooling and rain and a couple of branches down from this morning's storms. Later this afternoon, we could be in for a wild ride. Scattered strong storms possible. Right along this line, M59 south in yellow is a slight risk for severe weather. North zone is just under a marginal or lesser risk. But again, both of those are on the lower end. Still means that a handful of storms could fire up with real gusty wind, lightning, and heavy downpours. The heat and humidity building, 80 degrees feels like 82, and you see the showers and storms that are mainly south of us. Cold front is approaching, and we're starting to see a little activity in western lower. But this is a look again. We have a fatality this morning from a line of showers that moved through Ottawa County and the Grand Haven area. And if you watch here on the timeline, right at about 2:30 in the morning, boom, 80+ mile-an-hour winds there, and one estimate that they're looking into is over 100 mile-an-hour winds from that storm line that went through Ottawa County to our west. And this is a different setup, but still it is the dangerous wind and lightning that we're watching out for this afternoon. 85 and 3 to 6 p.m. peak heat of the afternoon, those are the times to watch out. Not saying at 6 o'clock it shuts off, but before 9 p.m. we expect conditions to calm down, and through the overnight cooling off. Amazing that we go from this real muggy air, then the cold front comes through, and by tomorrow we're looking at temperatures mainly in the 70s, comfortable stuff, and the humidity is down also on Sunday. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we do have shower chances coming and going as we warm up a little bit. Again, just a reminder, Evrod, to everybody, keep an eye to the sky this afternoon.
Certainly will. Brandon, thank you. Well, as we head into the weekend, let's take a look at the box office, shall we? Because around the 4th of July, that's usually a sizzling time of year for going to the movies. But unfortunately, this week failed to provide fireworks for those studios, and here's why. The beach and barbecues burned the box office as the holiday weekend failed to turn around a weak summer so far. The season is now down 9% from last year, according to ComScore.
Holy moly!
Universal's Despicable Me 3 brought in less over the weekend in the U.S. than the opening for Despicable Me 2. Another new release, Sony's Baby Driver, outperformed with a $21 million take, while Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler's comedy The House from Warner Brothers fell flat.
She adored her! Right now and over the past few weeks, there's only been a handful of movies that have really grabbed audiences and got them out from either, behind their TV or from the beach and gotten them in the theater this summer.
With the exception of Wonder Woman and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, every summer tentpole has underperformed expectations in North America.
2, 1, go!
But for studios, even films that are suffering stateside are outperforming overseas.
And there's something going on here with international audiences where the novelty, the bombast, the epic size of these American-made movies are enough to get them in the theater and excited to go back over and over, whereas North American audiences seem much more jaded.
Internationally, Despicable Me 3 off to a huge start. And even the 5th films in the Pirates of the Caribbean and Transformers franchises, though underperforming other sequels, have had a huge run overseas.
Good evening, Peter.
That increasingly powerful global audience is already impacting what movies Hollywood makes and where they're shot. Still a lot of good movies to go out and see this weekend. And still ahead, usually we hear about stories about escapees from jail. Well, this time it's the reverse. We'll tell you why a jail is being broken into next.